The Ryzen 7 5800X is a beast among high-end processors, which offers users the ability to multitasking for what it is worth. However, you will not be able to take advantage of the full potential of this processor that it promises and advertises without having a proper motherboard. Here are our top 7 picks, which we think are great equipment to choose from when looking for a quality motherboard for your new Ryzen 7 5800X. Number 7. ASRock B550 Steel Legend. The B550 Steel Legend is a great entry-level board for consumers wanting to start a budget ATX build. As for features, it offers PCIe 4.0 for graphics and a single NVMe solution, but that's all most gamers will need to get started. ASRock is using a 14-phase VRM design here, with SiC 654 drivers that are rated at 60A. This is more than enough power for the 5800X, even with some overclocking thrown in. It keeps up with our expectations in gaming and synthetic benchmarks as well. All in all, certainly not bad for the price. The only downside this board has is the lack of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Other than that, the BIOS also feels quite basic, as this is something ASRock is still yet to improve on. Other than that, this thing is quite the beast when it comes to overall value. If you can overlook some of the extra bells and whistles of X570, this is quite a decent board for the people who are interested in pure white-themed gaming PC builds. Number 6. Gigabyte X570 Aorus Extreme. Now this motherboard is for our enthusiast viewers. These hardware aficionados demand excellence, and Gigabyte is more than happy to fulfill the fans' desires. Meet the Aorus Extreme, a flagship motherboard that justifies its extreme moniker in every possible sense of the word. Of course, it also comes in at quite the hefty price tag. This is an eATX motherboard, so make sure you have space to properly display this behemoth. Apart from having premium components and controllers, it also features a clean and almost minimal-looking design. The all-black exterior adds a stealthy look to the board. The excellent design scheme continues with the metal armor on the exterior, which covers most of the rear of the PCB. This armor can also be found on the front panel around the PCIe slots, 3 M.2 PCIe Gen 4 slots, and the heatsink. For enthusiasts, this one also includes a debug LED. Needless to say, this 16-phase 70 AVRM design is more than enough for the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X. You can easily say that this is an overkill, as this board can take on the 5950X with heavy overclocking easily, unlike other motherboards. If you are the type who genuinely cares about every single percentage of performance, this is the board to get. Of course, all of this comes at quite a hefty price tag. Honestly, this board is not practical for 90% of the users out there. But for those who want the commendable performance, even if it puts a dent in their wallet, this is the one to go for. This motherboard is not designed for the average Joe. If your wallet isn't overly stacked, don't go for this one. Number 5. MSI AG X570's Tomahawk Max Wi-Fi. The AG X570's Tomahawk Max Wi-Fi makes a few improvements over its predecessor. First off, it ditches the chipset fan and instead goes for a passive cooling technique using Fraser heatsink design. It is quite a compelling option for mid-range or higher-end Ryzen builds. This time around, the Tomahawk Max incorporates better audio quality, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth capabilities. As for the design, MSI continues with the military-like theme for aesthetics. The color combination might look a bit strange to some but falls in line with previous entries. The RGB lighting is also quite minimal here. To be quite honest, the design does seem a bit generic for the price. However, it makes up for that with its excellent performance. The board uses a 14-phase, 12+2 VRM design with 60A MOSFETs capable of driving even a 5950X. Furthermore, this incorporates a Realtek 4000 series audio codec. The MAG X570s incorporates error code LED, which is quite impressive. All in all, this is quite a solid pick for overclockers and enthusiasts. The high-end features and robust VRM design will allow overclockers to tinker around with voltage and frequencies. We just wish it had a USB 3.22x2 port and better RGB zones. If you care about aesthetics and innovative motherboard designs, you might have to look elsewhere. However, in the past, the Tomahawk series has garnered a few loyal consumers, and if you're one of those loyal consumers who are just comfortable with the Tomahawk ecosystem, go for this one. Number 4. Asus ROG Strix B550F Gaming. The first thing that stands out about this Asus motherboard is the design. Unlike other Asus boards that use dual color schemes, this one goes for a simple all-black exterior. Everything from the PCB and heatsinks, even to the slots, is painted black. This means that the board will go with any case in terms of color scheme. Subsequently, it also means that the RGB bounces off this board beautifully. The highlights on the heatsinks are a nice touch as well. While this board might not be the first choice of performance lovers, it is more suitable for the general audience who have a gaming PC. The Supreme FX audio chip inside works well in some games, which is a unique factor that sets this motherboard apart in terms of audio output performance. It features a 14-phase, 12+2 power design, which is quite good for a B550 board. You will be pleasantly surprised with how much overclocking headroom it leaves you with. The only issue is that it is quite expensive and almost creeps up on X570 territory. So again, if you care about value over stock availability and stealthy black motherboards are your thing, definitely go with this one. But steer away from it if you're looking for X570 level OC performance from this motherboard. Number 3. MSI B550A Pro. We feel the need to switch things up a bit. So enough of these premium motherboards for Ryzen 7 5800X. Not everyone cares about overclocking, tweaking their RAM frequencies, and so on. Some people just need a reliable motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X that they can use without any worries. If that fits your bill, then the MSI B550A Pro might be a great budget motherboard for you. It does not have a lot of bells and whistles, so it flies under the radar for a lot of people. We think it's worth considering for those on a budget. While the design of this gaming motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X isn't really a fan favorite, fortunately it gets the basics right. It uses a 7 watts per meter Kelvin thermal pad over the VRM heatsink for better cooling. This heatsink is also big in size, and the board even has an M.2 shield for your Gen 4 SSD. Overall, it gets the job done in terms of design, as the layout is simple and it nails the fundamentals. MSI has added an interesting feature here known as the Flash BIOS button. This allows you to update the BIOS or do a fresh install via USB ports. You don't need a processor to be present in the board itself for this function. Other than that, the Core Boost technology makes sure that the processor is always running at a safe voltage and power level. The only downside of this motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X is that MSI claims that this uses a 10+ two-phase design for the VRM. In actuality, it is using a 5-phase V-Core VRM with 2 power stages in each stage. This is why it isn't exactly the best for overclocking. If you don't care about aesthetics or overclockability, then this is the perfect choice for you, as MSI motherboards are known for their reliability over a long period. A good alternative would be the MSI MPG B550 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi. Number 2. Asus ROG X570 Crosshair 8 Dark Hero. The X570 Crosshair 8 Dark Hero is the best premium gaming motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X, and this should be no surprise. For simplicity's sake, we'll refer to this board as the Dark Hero for the time being. This Dark Hero board looks a bit different than previous products from Asus. This motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X features a sleek black look, and all the heatsinks have a uniform design scheme. This beast is pure eye candy and gives a stellar performance. This best enthusiast motherboard features 16-phase VRM with 90A MOSFETs that can handle any Zen 3 processor. It's a perfect pairing for the Ryzen 7 5800X. Even though it can easily handle a 5950X, it also works well with both Precision Boost Overdrive and Manual OC. A dynamic OC mode can help you to automatically switch between the two for the best of both worlds. Furthermore, this board supports 128 GB of high-speed RAM, and you can overclock that RAM up to 5100 MHz, which sets it apart from its competition. Apart from that, you also get the excellent Asus Armoury Crate software to play around with the RGB lighting. The only complaint about this motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X is that it has only two M.2 USB ports, which might disappoint some at this price. However, if you care about the crazy RGB, aggressive aesthetics, and extremely impressive memory overclocking, this is the right choice for you. Number 1. Gigabyte X570 Aorus Elite Wi-Fi. First off, let us talk about the design of this motherboard. The X570 Aorus Elite gaming motherboard is subtle and sleek with its design language. It utilizes an inconspicuous design language thanks to the all-black PCB. It features some stenciling around the advanced heatsink design and audio section that enhance gaming performance. Aorus branding can be seen on the VRM heatsink towards the left. All of these heatsinks feature a brushed aluminum finish, which further adds to the look. Combine the stealthy design with great RGB, and we have ourselves a winner. The LED of this motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X are located under the shroud in between the VRM heatsink. There is also a small strip towards the bottom left side of the board, which adds a nice soft underglow to the board. Furthermore, this board is also quite durable as it features a durable PCIe armor, meaning the PCIe slot is clad in metal. Next, let's talk about power delivery and performance for the overclockers out there. It is using a 12+ 2-phase voltage regulator. As such, these VRM can easily handle any Zen 3 CPU at stock with a little bit of overclocking thrown into the mix. In terms of synthetic benchmarks and 3D games, this value-conscious motherboard can hold its own against some of the more expensive offerings on this list. This motherboard found its way at the top of our list because it is a perfect all-rounder and competes with the top choices at a lower price. So if you're the one who prioritizes value over anything, just get it. However, if you are an absolute enthusiast and want unnecessary stuff like crazy RGB zones on your motherboard, then this motherboard isn't for you. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. If we helped you out in any way, please hit the like and subscribe button. We'll see you guys in the next video.